Okay, guys. Audio memos, part, I guess 3 or something. We are in the pool, right? So I'm chilling in the pool, and my brother lunges up. He's like, "Oh yeah, you want to take it outside?" He goes, "Yeah." So they stand there at the outer exit door, and they're like, "All right, let's go." So he goes in. I don't remember what my brother put on. I think he put on maybe his pants or something, or shoes, maybe his shirt. And they go at the door, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I can't remember if I went to the. No, there's no way in fucking hell I went to the door. Because I was fucking a kid. You know? A teen, rather. So, obviously, considering one of them was a boxer, my brother was in serious trouble. And they were going down a hallway that was very kind of narrow, like an L, to get to a back door. And apparently, from what I can gather, or I gathered later, they were walking near him, and then the boxer got near him, and it was all planned. And these guys, I forgot to mention, these guys would beat up French people. Like, I grew up with, that's why I always hated French people, even though I'm from Quebec, because in the West we hated French people, and this was a gang that would beat up French people, literally. These guys would beat up anyone. These were like the criminals of our area. So they go in the hallway. The guy sets up next to him and sets up a boxer shot. Boom. I mean, he knows what to do. How to take his nose out. Collapsed nose. Boom. You know, his nose is hanging off. And then they duck out. So he comes back in, and I'm like, his nose is hanging off. I can't remember if I noticed right away. And he went back into the bathroom in the sauna area. I think I raced in there, and I was like, "What the fuck, man?" His nose was hanging, like, really bad nose break, right? So Mr. Tough Guy is not Mr. Tough Guy anymore. That was gross. That was really gross. And then I think I had to walk home with him when his nose was hanging off. From there, and then I guess either my mom drove him to the hospital or an ambulance came, because I don't think it came to the pool, because we weren't supposed to be there ever. So there was that. I remember that. That was a crazy story. That probably changed him, made him a bit more humble, because these guys didn't fuck around. And I ended up meeting a lot of the criminals in the area, and you know, I eventually became one of them. Because it was cool, right? But still, made a lot of money. Okay, so my brother, and then I think my brother finally graduated. And then, you know, that was when basically we had gotten into so much trouble. The cops raided. My mom had enough. She was tired of work. She was been working a secretary job, and she had her little car, and I think she was realizing how cheap her man was. But at the same time, at the last minute, she was kind of gold digging, and then she's like, "Okay, let's go to Florida and have a baby." And then they did that. And that was, so I have like a step sister. But later on, you know, things didn't really work out with her either, because now I can't even, I've got big issues with her. But we were ready to just run away from home, basically. Like, I think we ran away from home, and the cops brought us back like multiple times. Me and my younger brother. My older brother, he left abruptly. Like once he started dating that girl who was obsessed with me, and then eventually started dating him, he had to leave because my mom caught them having sex in his room or in her room or whatever, and then that was that. And he was like, oh, whatever, you know. And then he moved in with them. He moved in with her, his girlfriend, and their parents. And then I think that was the first step, or I moved out with my younger brother. No, now I remember. Wait, I think I moved out with him. When he did it, I did it at the same time or something like that, because we had this whole crew we would hang out with all the time. At that point, I think I had... Yeah. So, we moved out, and we moved in with that nutcase Daryl and all his brother, and then that guy Wally was living with them, and Daryl's sister's dating Wally, and these guys were all kind of like nutcases, okay? But you know, we had a good time living with them sometimes. Sorry, I'm trying to smoke this. It's going out. Okay, out. They were, and she would hook. She was a hooker, and this is why, like, you know, I want to tell these stories because I forgot about that. Yeah, she would hook. She'd go out night hooking all night, and then he would sit around in the room because they had a kid. So there's like 8 of us in this house, and it was funny because a hydro would keep, and this was a poor area. This is near Vendome metro station, and man, we were all criminals living in there. And it was funny because when they would shut off the power, we would just break the lock and fucking put the power back on. You know what I mean? Like, we were so in debt, didn't matter. And I remember we would smoke friggin' when we were really poor and everyone's having like teas in the microwave. We would smoke like tea bags when we didn't even have tobacco. And basically our lives at that point was getting a dime of weed. Everybody would just kind of do whatever we could to get weed, like steal videos from the video store. Like Blockbuster was huge back then in that generation, right? We met all these crazy shady types during all our bike stealing and breaking into cars and all this crazy stuff. So that whole saga was crazy because the damp basement we were living in with them on near Vendome, and they had a huge pit bull and all these dogs and everything. It was disgusting. It was really disgusting. And I can't remember when I got out of there, it was like getting out of a prison, because some of the guys were really bullies, eh? And it was a really dangerous environment. And then we all got arrested multiple times. Some of the guys for stealing cars. And I got kind of lucky. Most of the guys and my younger brother did time and stuff. But I don't know, I guess I was lucky. I was very lucky. I had other options. I had people in Lachine I could zip out of there. And another thing that got me away from the gang, I call it the gang because we were in a gang, and there was a couple of gangs that we would hang around with. But what happened was, eventually I had a falling out with my older brother who I was living with, and then I had to leave NDG, and that got me out of the gang forever. So, and then they all eventually got arrested, and if I would have stayed, then I would have got arrested too. That's for sure. Like, it's a miracle that I didn't get arrested for all the crazy stuff that I did with them or during that period. You know what I mean? So, where are we? Yeah, he moves in with his, my older brother moves in with his girlfriend. I move out of my parents. My younger brother, I think he stayed for another year. And I stopped hanging out with him. We were all hanging out with the same crew. And I stopped hanging out with him at some point because he was so jealous of me. And then at one point, I mistakenly called the cops on them because they stole my Xbox or my 64, which is kind of petty, but they totally ripped me off. I remember one time I tried to sell fake weed to my own friends, and it was Windex with it was oregano with Windex on it. That was crazy. I remember that was around that time. I don't know where, if I had my apartment. Oh, I can't wait to tell that apartment story, because that was the crazy apartment the cockroach apartment. Okay, so there's a couple of cockroach apartment stories. But I left, and then my late younger brother, I stopped hanging out with him, and then at some point we had to hang out with each other. And it's weird because I think we hung out with the same gang for years, and I didn't even speak to him because we hated each other, which is insane. But so my older brother, how did his life progress during this period? Yeah, he was working at McDonald's. I remember I worked at McDonald's for one day. That was crazy. He was working at McDonald's at some point, and then I was like, oh cool, can I get a job there? And I think I had a Gazette route for like 2 days, before that I couldn't wake up at like 6 a.m. I was like, oh my god, right? And go collect all the money and all this bullshit. I couldn't even handle that. And then McDonald's, they give you like 7 hours of paid training or whatever, or 14, and they give you your uniform. And I was terrified to go back there because I didn't pay attention to when the guy was showing me how to make the burgers and that. So when I got there, I think I went there, and then I was like terrified, and I just fucking jetted out the back, boom. And I should have left the uniform. Maybe I was wearing half of it or whatever. But and then they tried to get that back, but they never got that back. Oh yeah, I think I maybe gave it to my brother because he was still working there. So there's that. Let's see, I don't know what age he's at now, or what age I'm at now. I can't even remember right now, because I'm just in a park and I haven't been like scripting any of this stuff. Let me see. We ran away from home. I moved out, and that was it. My mom was like, yeah, good, go see ya. Right? I remember we used to hang out at this store that would deliver beer. In Montreal, they would have these bicycles that would deliver beer. I don't know if they did that everywhere. Like, they probably did that in olden days, right? Or in New York City or whatever. But in Montreal, they do that. I remember I used to go get my mom beer on my own when I was like 10. She would on Benny, she would be like, yeah, go get me beer. And I would like get her beer, and then I would buy a BMX magazine. Yeah, and she wouldn't even know or care. And then that was kind of fun. So then again, I was stealing, right? And man, I did so much stealing. I remember I got caught stealing at the dentist when I was like 10. There was like something on the desk, like a watch, like a little clock thing. Like you could even put it, a really tiny one, in a waiting room or near me or something. Man, I hated the dentist. And I'd really like to get the black out of change my metal fillings to white. Yeah, I stole something, and then my mom made me go. They called my mom, and I had to go all the way back on the bus by myself and bring it back. Ugh, that was horrendous. Oh, okay, now I remember. We all got caught stealing because my brother. I don't think my older brother was a big stealing influence. Oh yeah, he was definitely. I think he learned a bit from me too. Or maybe he was a big thief, because I know he did a lot of stealing too. But yeah, we all got caught at Sears. Yeah, we were just stealing everywhere. We went like friggin' on a stealing rampage, you know, all day. I don't think we were in school or something at that time. And then my mother just like fucking got bombarded with us getting caught stealing. It was like Sears, like I remember coming home from Sears like thinking she was gonna kill us. And the punishments that we've endured, I'm gonna go through later series or whatever, which were insane. But yeah, I got caught stealing there. We got caught stealing. Well, we didn't get caught stealing a lot of times. Got away with a lot of stuff. I remember we destroyed this comic store. I destroyed some stores on Sherbrooke. I would take my mom's books from her collections. Like I'd take like, she had this whole do-it-yourself books, like 200. I'd take like 7 of the best ones, go sell them at the bookstore, like every week. I didn't give a fuck, you know, fucking. And then she caught me and brought me back to that fucking bookstore and fucking go by the hair, you know, but that didn't really, I guess, stop me. I'd even steal from her. Would start locking her room. I think so. I found some way to get in, either pecking the lock or climbing through windows, stealing peanut butter granola bars out of her closet, stealing from her purse. I remember I'd even climb into her room when she's sleeping one time, and stealing from her, sliding across the floor. Fuck. It's crazy looking back. I feel like I'm on a therapist's chair here, remembering things. Wow, I did that, and that's nothing compared to all the stealing that I've done. This is just like the beginnings. Yeah, we did all that, and then my older brother's living with her, and then the whole gang gets arrested. At some point, my brother has a kid with that girl who's obsessed with me. She's still obsessed with me, big time. Like, you know, I'm pretty good looking at this point, probably. You know, and then I think I lost my virginity. We'll skip to this, and her stripper friend. We're in this Roach hotel, that Roach fucking apartment that we just got for like $400, and we're like all happy, and it's like full of roaches, but they're all hiding. We haven't even seen them yet. The guy gave us the apartment within like 10 minutes. This is near like Saint Jacques, like near like where the, you know, Saint Jacques, near the bowling alley, or kind of. Not so much near Renault. So then, yeah, I lost my virginity, right? So, and it was so pathetic because I remember we were just, me and her in this living room on the floor, and then my brother and the girl who was obsessed with me they're doing with their thing in there, and we're hanging out. We have this place now, right? And then I eventually like roll over and just like, I guess you could technically say penetrate. I can't believe I'm describing this for whatever period. But she's like, she's awake and everything, and we're, you know, it's real. But like, I think she had just not had an abortion, some kind of medical thing. So it was kind of gross or whatever. But, and then immediately I just went into the bathroom. because I was still worried about anyone seeing my uncircumcised penis, right? So I technically was able to lose my virginity, and to her she was like, like, so that I guess was a boost for me at the time. But technically, I mean, it was probably, I don't know how many more years before I was having sex again. Like, I haven't really had that much sex in my life, actually. Maybe because women were always kind of after me, and I wasn't too worried about it, but I had a lot of other things I had to focus on, and I guess it made me the way that I am. I'm still the same. Like, now I'm really not. I don't even think about dating, especially right now, because I'm really in a bad situation. And I keep getting into bad situations, so now I'm going to do something about it and just really change my life, because I could see the direction it's going in. So yeah, there was that, and then we were living with them, and we were looking for places to live. My younger brother, at this point, was not with us. I think he had not moved out yet, or something. So everyone's getting arrested, Okay, let's skip to eventually my brother has a place, and I'm living with him. Now, this is where things get really crazy. I'm gonna need some water. Hopefully this phone is still. Now, so things get crazy, and I'll go into more detail about this later, but he goes away to look for work and to find my father, who we haven't seen. None of us have seen my father in ages. All three of us, the brothers. He's still either in BC or apparently he's in Mississauga at this point. Right? So he goes to find him. She is so obsessed with me, but she's really like a nympho. This is really kind of the more thing with her. She's really a good-looking girl, I don't know how old she was, like now, 18, 20, or I don't even remember. But she's really good-looking. I was really good-looking. She was always obsessed with me. She would write me letters. We would all go to the pool with her and her friend, and my friend Daryl, and the gang, or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. She starts flirting with me and is almost raping, like, you know what I mean? She's just really coming on. Eventually, technically I had been laid, but I guess things were brewing up in myself. I eventually succumbed to her. I mean, it's kind of weird, the story. Nobody really knows in my family. I think my mom really knows, but the thing is, I think Jason, well, I'm gonna have to cut that out. I almost said his name. I think he deep down knows that he's kind of lucky that what happened with me and her instead of what could have happened, because the gang came back because she had a kid with one of the higher gang members before she started dating my brother. Yes. Okay, so I've skipped a long period of time. And when he came back, he wanted her back. He just got out of jail for robbing a McDonald's with a like double barrel shotgun with his guys, and they're on like rampage, gang raids everywhere, And then he got caught. So then they came around. I was like, oh shit, and I kind of had to protect the house because he told me to. So when they started coming to the door, I was like, whoa, whoa. And then I don't know if we had already started having sex, but that kind of went away, not because I was great at sex, because I'm terrible at sex. I don't even really, I'm not great at it. But somehow I was able to like kind of keep him away, because he wanted to see his kid. and he was trying to get her. And then I guess I might have distracted her as much as I could, but she was really distracted by me already. She was like obsessed with me. And it's funny because the first time that we had sex, it wasn't even sex. Like, she basically was like, went to touch me, and then I was done. You know what I mean? So it was really embarrassing. Later on, I was able to figure all that stuff out, you know, on my own. Not so much through sex within relationships. But, and I deeply regret what happened with me and her. And nobody really knows what I was going through, what I had to go through all this, and how much I tried to get her to stop and get out of it. And it was more her. She was a very nympho, needy person. Like, she would like smoke up and go, okay, we gotta order burgers and we're gonna have sex because like I'm all nervous and all this. So it would be constant. And then when he came back, she still couldn't let it go. Like, I realized my life was in danger, and they had a kid. So she had a kid with the criminal, the high criminal guy, and then they had a kid, my brother and her, at this point, or something. Okay, now, so it makes it kind of even more gross what I did, but it wasn't me, you know. So I didn't have much going on. I was selling weed. I was a drug dealer, or trying to be. I got ripped off by some guy. Oh man, you know, I was like, oh my god, this freaking guy just ripped me off. I'm a horrible drug dealer. But anyways, so that happened. And then when he came back, she couldn't let it go. It turned into something crazy, something insane, and I was trapped there and everything, you know. So and we were still, I think we were still playing around a bit for a while. So it's just insane. She couldn't. So eventually, I knew that I had to do something, and then I couldn't. I would walk up to him, and because he was huge, he was already like a light, short fuse. So I'd go up to him and I'd be like, yeah, you know, and I couldn't do it. And then I realized that I couldn't do it. I couldn't even, what the hell, how am I going to explain this shit, right? And I'm living with them, right? So now I realize, okay, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to move out of here. She's not going to let it go and all this shit. She's like, you even try to move out? I'm telling him and all this and da-da-da. So I was screwed, totally screwed, locked there, hey? And she even said like some things that she would do that I was like totally screwed. Like, she's like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. And I was like, oh, okay. So eventually I remember what... Eventually I realized, or part of me subconsciously realized, that I'm going to have to get caught. So, and then he realized something was going on, and he started hiding and listening. And then he was in the basement hiding. Actually, one time he actually caught us. I put my hand on her leg, and he was watching from the front window in the living room. And then he fucking kicked the front door off the hinges. My brother was huge. And almost killed me. I can't believe I got out of that one. She stopped him, and I was saying, "Don't worry," and I put my hand on her. Then, okay, so finally I realized, like, okay, this is insane. This is like months. We're going on like a couple months here, right? This is insanity now. None of us are doing really well financially. I don't know. I think my brother did hook up with my father, but then he sent him back. And at this point, I never spoke with my father. And I still haven't spoken with my father. I'm the only one who has never even spoken with my father since I was like 7, which is insane, I think. I'm sure some people on YouTube could relate. There's some hotel loudspeaker going off here. Construction site thing at the park. Okay, so so that happened, and then I realized that I had to. Then I guess I got more reckless, and he was in the basement listening, and then he totally caught us either, I don't know, kissing, talking about something, or whatever, and boom, kicked the basement door right off the hinges. Then it started beating the crap out of me, but not really beating the crap out of me, because he's probably so terrified that if he got arrested, that me and her would be having sex that night. I don't blame him. Because he didn't know what the hell's going on, and what he thought was going on. So fucking I feel horrible about what I did. It probably made me into a person that will have to hide that forever, and makes me avoid women maybe in some aspect. But that's not the only reason why I'm a loner, or have avoided dating for something. But probably as a big part of it, yeah. So but hey, life goes on, right? So he did hit me though, and then he trashed my room, my whole 2-pack CD collection and everything, just annihilated it into like a little dust pile, right? Get the fuck out of here! I never want to see you again. Don't ever speak to my fucking family again, ever. Get the fuck out. Immediately, I got a U-Haul truck, and there was like this black guy I hired right away. He helped me. He's like, what the fuck's going on? My shit's flying out of the fucking our apartment on this street near Saint Jacques, where they built that big hospital. He's tossing my shit out. She's fucking screaming him not to hurt me, and that's making him fucking turn into the Hulk, you know. He's fucking losing it. So I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Somehow that Wally had moved out of Daryl's, and he had this place with his stripper wife and their kids nearby recently, and I was cool with Wally. And then I think I paid him maybe $100 for a room or some shit, or their couch, and we'd all smoke weed together almost every day anyway. We all hung out in the same crew. But we were kind of building apart now and getting older. Like, I'm living with my brother, Wally's over there. Daryl and them, their fucking pathetic family was his brother Mark, a bunch of idiots. They're probably in, jail at this point? Or, I can't remember. Their father was a complete nutcase. This guy was addicted to Sudafed. He'd drink like 5 bottles of Sudafed a day, then come home and beat the shit out of everyone. So that happened. So I somehow finessed my way into Wally's, and I got the truck going. So whatever I could, I got stuff in the truck. My brother just fucking trashes everything. Get the fuck out of here. You're fucking dead to me. Never speak to me again. And I never spoke to him again, or her. I never saw them again. I moved completely to the other side of Montreal. That's how terrified I was. I was fearing for my life, actually. But I had friends. I had a lot of friends. I had Will. There was this guy, Will, I went to high school with. I had Derek, who was a complete nutcase. Well, I kind of miss Derek. He's a wild one. But I moved in with Will. Well, first, I moved in with Wally for like a month or something or two. And Wally's kind of a slob, and they're like all fucked up. And it's just kind of just like a weird situation with her stripping and him sitting there smoking weed all day. He's such a lazy ass, this guy. He would just sit there all day while his wife is out stripping. Like, God knows what she's... and she was like kind of like a heavyset girl. This is Daryl's sister. And man, I grew up with them. So anyways... get kicked out, and then moving to Wally. Eventually I moved up into Lachine, and then I met all these other crazy characters like Krusty. Well, Christy, we used to call her Krusty. Funny, I just spoke with her on Facebook the other day. She's telling me to fuck off. And there's she's quite a character. And then Will, and then we moved into this place. That's probably the first time I was subjected to the phobia of the giant centipedes, because Will had this house with his dad and his hot sister Holly, I think, and then they had this other place that was right near there, next to it, that was just a pile of shit, old one, and there was some crazy old man living deep in the basement who I saw once. That was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. What the guy had in there, he had like all this shaving shit and piled up into the bathtub and sink, and just beer cans so high he couldn't even sleep. God knows how big the fucking centipedes were in that fucking place, man. Oh, we had to go in there to do some kind of check or something. He made me go in there. He's like, you want to go in there for me? Lenny's in there. I'm like, who the fuck's Lenny? Just like some weird old man you never see, just in this basement existing somehow. And then somehow I never knew he was there. Like I moved into the top. There was like a top part, and the centipedes were there. They would move big as your hand, just flash across the floor, and I couldn't even sleep. I was fucking terrified. Eventually, Derek, kind of a short guy and a short-tempered guy who drank a lot, he moved in with me there, and that was our kind of place away from. Or this was me transitioning out of the gang to hanging out with like normal people that weren't like criminals, pure criminals. Because Derek was kind of educated, and his parents lived near Elizabeth Ballantyne, and he was a smart guy. He is a smart guy compared to myself. I'm much more, I guess I eventually became artistic. I learned how to artistic, not autistic abilities. Or I think I'm a pretty smart guy in some aspects. So living with them, with him, and we'd make steaks with green pepper. I remember that. Pepper steaks with green pepper every day. Beers. And then I started, that was like kind of when I was drinking beer. Before I started drinking beer, like about 10 years ago. So this would have been a period when I was drinking beer whenever I was with Derek. But the thing is, Derek would drink way fucking more than me. Derek could fucking drink like a motherfucker. This guy, I remember Derek would drink, like we'd go to a bar, I'd be with Derek, we'd be drinking so much, he would already be wasted before we even were going to the bar, you know what I mean? I'd be nowhere near him. And he'd be so wasted on the way back, like he'd have his 40 on him, even outside walking. Like he wouldn't give a shit. Like he was really kind of try to be aggressive and like be kind of primal type, because he was really a kind of a small guy, I guess, and that might have made him drink more. I don't know, but that's just how he was. And fucking. Alright, let me sit on the cement ball here in this parking lot thing. He would friggin' barf while we were walking, and then he'd be drinking it right after. I was like, holy shit. I've never seen anything like that. And I eventually moved in with him later on in other apartments. But yeah, so I can't go too long with this story. I think I might have to cut this one because it's kind of hot out here and I don't have any more cigars. But I will catch the story part 4 from when I moved out with Will, beside Will, with Derek. And I left the gangs, and like I said, that's probably one of the best decisions. It wasn't a decision that I made. It was something that just happened. I was forced to leave. I had no choice. There was no way I was going to be able to still hang around with my friends, the gang, and it just wasn't going to happen, and I realized that. And I had no choice, and I was forced to do it, but it had a big big effect on my life, because it kept me from getting arrested, because everybody got arrested after that. And I had already gotten robbed by some of the even like real crazy criminals that were in NDG. So I realized I had to get out of there. So that was a different period, and then I ended up meeting crazy people like Brent and Krusty and Will, and people I went to high school with. And from there eventually, there'll be all stories from Lachine. And but anyways, thanks guys for listening. I'm still new at this. Maybe I don't have the volume right, or these are probably just going to be like demos. But thanks for listening. Please subscribe and like and support the channel. I'm just starting right now, and just trying to get some memories down. And I will try. I'm not able to do them right now in my room because it's so small, and I just don't feel comfortable doing it in the room. I'll see if I can do some when I get home. I haven't been able to do it. I only feel comfortable out here doing it because even though everyone is kind of Spanish, the 3 people that are living in this basement, but I don't know. I just kind of want to get out of that basement and move on with my life at this point. But it looks like I'll be there for at least 2 more months, I think, depending on what the remainder of my crypto money is going to do before I have to pull it out here to pay rent for 2 more months, or what Costco is going to give me. They just totally screwed me, and it was just mental breakdown. They didn't support me at all. Hopefully they're gonna, anyways, that's all kind of personal stuff, but hey, this is my personal channel, so I guess I'm gonna have to tell everything on this channel, because I have another channel that I'm building. I'm not gonna say the name or whatever, but I'm sure people will figure it out later. But I'm gonna be, trying to be kind of living homeless by choice. Let me cross the street, and it's gonna be an adventure. I'm gonna try to work online. But anyways, thank you guys. Like and subscribe. Please follow me, and I'm gonna get better at this. I know I need to work on the way I'm speaking, and I really don't sound great because I haven't been in a great mood. But it's better than going to get 12 beers and getting wasted. So at least I'm not doing that right now. And thanks guys for your support, and I'll talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow, very soon. Yeah, definitely tomorrow.